Good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to have Sourav with us. Just to set it up before I ask you the first question. You know, I keep asking this question of Sourav, who writes his script? 1992, he goes to Australia as a really sort of extremely talented youngster, does not have a good series, is discarded and junked. For 4 years, 5 years, we don't hear of him. And it's almost that Sourav Ganguly is lost. 1996, he makes a comeback with 100 at Lord's, follows up with 100 in Trent Bridge, and the rest is history. We drop him again in 1997. He comes back and wins 4 Man of the Match awards against Pakistan in Toronto. Indian cricket is in turmoil. 2000, match fixing happens. Australia comes to India at the back of 15 wins. Happens 16 in Mumbai. Who takes over captaincy? Sourav Ganguly. What happens in Kolkata? We know its history. 17, 18 years down the line, the BCCI is in doldrums. All we hear is Supreme Court and court cases and criticism. And who do they go to? Sourav Ganguly. But even on that particular day at 9:45 p.m., a national news agency says Sourav Ganguly is not BCCI President. 10:15 p.m. he becomes BCCI President. Who writes your script?
Firstly, thank you for having me, and I'm extremely happy to be back on stage with India Today because I've been with them for 9 years. Thank you, Arunji, for inviting me here. I don't know, to be honest, Borea, but I don't have an answer to this. As you very rightly said half an hour ago, you did not know who would be the president, but I presume that's the way it is. As you very rightly said, for the last 3 years, the board had been run by Supreme Court administrators, and the office bearers really had no say in the running of the board. And maybe I was one of the very few eligible candidates at that particular day because it has gone through a complete change, complete restructure, the entire administration of Indian cricket. And I was one of them who was eligible that day.
Sort of, I mean, when you've taken charge, there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of expectation. It is as if you have the magic wand, you will change everything. Now, let's get into specifics. Take the selection committee, take the cricket advisory committee. You were part of the cricket advisory committee with Sachin, with VVS. The selection committee, we've seen a lot of criticism from your teammates, Yuvraj Singh, Harbhajan Singh, about the weightage of the selection committee. But you are unable to get good people because of conflict of interest. I mean, whether it's a Sachin Tendulkar, whether it's a VVS Lakshman, whether it's a Harbhajan Singh, anybody, either they are with India Today or some other contract, you cannot get them because of conflict of interest. Are you saying, or are you having a problem that because of conflict of interest, good people are unable to come in positions of power and run Indian cricket?
Yeah, of course, because, you know, as you said, with somebody like Sachin or VVS the last time, they were asked to leave because of conflict of interest. And because their stature and because their influence in Indian cricket is so much, and the way they can be involved in Indian cricket is on a much higher platform. So it's quite natural that they would not come and do this job where they'll be questioned all the time. And at the end of the day, I've said before, I believe the conflict of interest has to be a lot of common sense. It even includes that if you're in any way involved in cricket and your son or brother or somebody close to you plays the game, you cannot be a part of it. So at some stage there has to be some sort of trust in the people who run the game, and as I said, common sense in conflict issues, because if you look at it that way, everything is a conflict, and by that manner you will not be able to have quality people. Like, as you said, the cricket advisory committee, it meets once in 3 years. I was a part of the cricket advisory committee, and it met once in 3 years for the selection of the coach. The coach gets selected for 5-year term, and the advisory committee doesn't have any more role in the running of it. So anybody who would want to remain attached with the game would not be a part of it, because for one meeting or for a month, you don't want to lose all the opportunities you have for the entire career. So I think it's got to be practical. It's really got to remain just with administrators, because the administrators have the real power in influencing things and making decisions. And I think cricketers should be left out of it, because at the end of the day, today Rahul Dravid is is selected as an IPL coach or a national team coach, he's selected. He doesn't decide his own fate, because that is done by the administrators, that is done by the people in power. So I really don't see a conflict in that. When somebody wants to use your service and your services are used because of your ability and how good you are, I don't see a conflict in that. But then with all due respect to whatever is in the constitution, you have to deal with it.
And you know, when you took over Indian cricket at the turn of the century, the game was in turmoil. And the one word that defined Indian cricket at that point was lack of credibility, because people were doubting everything. If you see your own board, there is a question that your own team, the team that has taken over with you, are they quality people or are they there because of political connections? Jai Shah, son of Amit Shah, Anurag Thakur's brother, so-and-so's son, so-and-so's daughter. How do you deal with that? Because people are asking these questions that except a Sourav Ganguly, everybody else is there because of family connections and political connections.
You know, we have this huge thing in India that, that if you are a son or a daughter or whatever of a very influential or a powerful person, you cannot remain involved. The other day, if you see Sachin, and I don't know whether you've seen that program or not, he was actually telling the people that treat my son as a cricketer and not as Sachin Tendulkar's son. Forget about the surname, just treat him whether he is good or bad. And I think that's how it should be. Why should a Tendulkar's son be stopped from playing because he's a Tendulkar son? You know, it doesn't happen in Australia, it doesn't happen in England. Mark Waugh, Steve Waugh played for Australia, both brothers, and both went on to play 100 test matches. You know, you look at England, Tom Curran, Sam Curran, both Curran family brothers are playing. You know, there have been instances in the past when Chris Crowder, Colin Cowdery was such a big name, his son played for England. I see this is an issue in India, and I think everybody has to be judged independently. Tomorrow, fortunately I don't have a son, so tomorrow if Rahul Dravid's son want to play, and they're ardent cricket players, Rahul Dravid's both sons. They are young and they consistently score hundreds in KCA Cricket League. And if they are good, they should play for India. And I say the same thing with Jay. He may be Amit Shahji's son, but so what? He's won an election. He's been involved in Gujarat Cricket Association for the last 7 years. 6 or 7 years he's been running Gujarat Cricket Association, and he should be allowed to be independent on his own. His father is a politician, he's not. So I think he should be judged independently. And we've just got together working for about a month, and it's been fantastic. You know, he's adjustable. He wants to do for the good of the game. And to be honest, if you look the Board of Cricket of Control for India for the last 35 years, there have been politicians all the time. You talk about the great names, even when Mr. Dalmia was the president of the board, Mr. Arun Jaitley was very close to him. He was involved in running of cricket. Mr. Sharad Pawar was involved in running of cricket, and I'm sure in the past the Madhav Rao Scindia was involved in running of the game. So I don't think it's the first time, and I don't think it's the last time that influential people will be involved in running of the game, because this game is so huge in this country. You know, nothing beats cricket in this part of the world, and you can take anything. So from that point of view, you will attract people, you will get important people coming to the grounds to watch the game, and some of them actually love the sport. It's not because they are powerful or not because they have the numbers in the elections. They come, a lot of them come because they actually also love the game. I know late Sri Arun Jaitley ji, he never became a board secretary or a board president, and he had the power to become, but he was obsessed with the game. The work he has done for the cricketers in Delhi, and you ask the likes of Virat and Ishant Sharma and Shekhar Dhawan, you know, they would go gaga over him with the help he's done for cricketers in Delhi over a period of time. So some of them also genuinely come for the love of the game.
Sort of in your case, I mean, the whole country was, while I don't think anybody will dispute that you are good for Indian cricket, there was so much talk, and I was on a debate with Rajdeep Sardesai about whether there was a deal. You met Amit Shah, which fueled speculation. Has there been a deal? Will you contest elections, etc., etc.? But you've also gone to the Supreme Court, according to your AGM, asking for an extension of term. What's happening? I mean, if you have to contest an election, that's 1.5 years down the line, but you asked for an extension for 3 years in the BCCI. Can you tell us what exactly is going on?
I thought I was a cricketer, so I think it's better you ask me questions on cricket.
It is
how BCCI can get better, how Indian cricket can better. Don't ask me what's going to happen in West Bengal 15
No,
months
I'm
down
not
the line.
asking. I'm saying about you. So are you interested in serving the BCCI for 3 years, if given an opportunity by the Supreme Court?
That's what we have asked for in the court. Because, both Jay and me have 10 months of term. Even Jayesh, who's the joint secretary, has 11 months of term. So we have requested on the basis of common sense that, at the end of the day, you need continuity to run the cricket board or cricket or the association or anything. And we have just requested the board to Supreme Court to do that. If they do it, fine. If they don't do it, the term is only for 10 months.
Okay, just to push you a little bit more on this, yes, it is for 10 months at the moment, and you've asked for a three-year thing. There is a section which is critical of this view, saying you are actually turning your back on reforms that were mandated by the Supreme Court, and you're taking the BCCI back to square one. Somebody of your stature, why would you want to do that? Why not serve 10 months, leave a legacy and move on? How do you look at that kind of criticism, saying, why is Sourav Ganguly's BCCI turning everything back and going back to the Supreme Court, saying increase our term?
Just like any other citizen, request the court and tell them what the difficulties are in running an association or running a cricket board. If they accept, fine. If they don't accept, fine. So as a citizen of the country, you can appeal to the court, and that's exactly what we are doing. This appeal has started for last 4 years, and as you know very well, not many things have been amended. The constitution or the reforms has happened a long time ago. It's almost 5 years now. And to be honest, not many things have changed. But at the end of the day, we've gone back to the court a number of times as an appeal, and this is a continuous progress. So it is not right to say that this is the first time the BCCI has or the Cricket Control Board has gone to the court for reforms. They've gone before as well, and it's just expectation, and also to tell the court that what is practical in running an organization, because I've been in the BCCI working committee for 5 years now, representing the Cricket Association of Bengal, who has a permanent seat in the working committee. And this time when I went to the AGM, there were not one single face who had been there in the last 4 or 5 years. And sometimes you cannot just throw away experience. Experience is required, because you look at the earnings of the BCCI, they earn about 25,000 crores in 5 years. It's a phenomenal amount of revenues which come in. The game has to be run. Your representations to the world body has to be sorted, and to just expect newcomers to come and do it consistently over a period of time, I don't think it's a fair thing. So continuity is important. Even in state associations, when you go to actually run state associations, the leadership is very, very important. And you have to find the right kind of people to run all these organizations, because too much of stake is involved in running of these organizations. And if you don't get the right people, then the entire system will come down. You look at the other countries, South Africa. When I came into international cricket in '96, they were probably the best side in the world. And a team which had Pollock, Donald, Callis, Klusner, and you look at this South African team. You've been following the report for the last 2 days. They speak about how the relationship with the administration has fallen off, how the sponsors want to back away because the cricket's not run properly. Even somebody like Graham Smith, who was one of the greatest players, don't want to take up that job because he feels that he will not be allowed to have a free run. So look at West Indies, the 1970s, the 1980s, what a force they were. And I feel one of the main reasons of cricket not doing well in those parts of the world is because of administrative failure. And you don't want to do that in India, because India is the powerhouse of cricket in the world. In terms of finances, look at the team. The best thing which has happened in the last 3 years is in Indian cricket is, in spite of all what has gone on in the courts, the team has performed fantastically. And I think that's where the real strength lies of Indian cricket. And in any form of work, whether it's business, whether it's running the state, running the country, running the board, you need good people to run it and experienced people to run it. So continuity is very important.
How many fingers?
4, 2.
You know why I asked him this? How many fingers? In cricket now, something has become very common and popular, and that's the concussion rule. Anybody who gets hit gets a change. Sourav, in cricket you get a substitute now on the pitch. With him we don't have a substitute. I'll give you his routine over the last 5 days. He did Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Calcutta, Delhi yesterday night, back to Calcutta, London tomorrow. So that is, and he deferred London because of the India Today Conclave. That's why I asked him how many fingers. Is he still in this time zone? But Sourav, to be honest, India versus Bangladesh, this India Today Conclave now East has about what, 400 people in this room? Had it India versus Bangladesh, had it been a regulation day test match, I can tell you 200 people would not have been there at the Eden Gardens. There would be 10, maybe, you know, the groundsman and maybe 20 people. Where did the day-night test thought come from? You had 70,000 people every day at an Eden Gardens for an India-Bangladesh game. You've made a statement. Give us the backstage. How did you convince Virat Kohli? How did you pull it off? What is your future about day-night tests? Australia is urging you to play 2. What are your thoughts about day-night tests?
Firstly, I think getting the feedback from Virat Kohli was not a problem at all. You know, I met him for the first time when I became president, and I said that we need this to happen, and he agreed immediately. And all this talk of he did not want in the past, I'm not aware, because obviously I didn't have an interaction with him. He was absolutely ready for a day-night test. I think the success of the day-night test is common sense. I personally believe that test cricket needs to be marketed well, and I'm sure you've seen all what had happened before the test match in Kolkata. Also, I feel it's about time. You know, with so much of cricket around these days, people don't have time to come and watch test cricket in the morning at 9:30, because people have work, people have their own businesses, and it's not possible to leave everything and watch cricket. So it came out from common sense that if you change the timings, if you change the scheduling, you know, you against good oppositions, yes, Bangladesh was a bit weak, but when you play Australia, when you play England, when you play New Zealand, it allows people to finish work and come and watch the game. I think firstly that's sort of common sense, and I think just like everything, test cricket needed a push. You know, we at times in India take our supporters for granted. You know, as we see in the IPL, as we see in 50 overs cricket, that they will come and whatever happens, whatever facilities we give them, they will come and fill up the stands. Also, television has gone to an unbelievable level in modern day, and thanks to Star Sports, Sony, all the television networks who have taken cricket broadcast to a completely different level. So it's not easy to take people out of their office rooms or their sofas or their drawing rooms at home to get to the ground and watch cricket. So it's an innovation which will remain. In terms of how many needs to be played a year, I think pink ball cricket is the flush. I don't think it can ever replace the consistent red ball, white clothing cricket starting at 9:30 in the morning. But I think every series can have it. And what we saw at Eden Gardens, I never expected it. I never expected that a 70,000 capacity will be there for all 4 days of the test match, watching a team which is not strong enough, and it has given hope to everybody that this is the future, and this will continue to happen. Whether India goes to play 2 day-night test matches in Australia is not sure yet. 2 out of 4, India I think play 5 test matches, 4 test matches in Australia. 2 out of 4 test matches would be a bit too much with the pink ball. So we will assess it. I read it in the newspapers this morning. I have not heard anything from the Australian Cricket Board, so we'll deal with it as it comes.
Coming to the ground, Sourav, you mentioned that the Indian team has done well. Yes, they have. It's a very good side. We are sitting at the top of the test rankings, and we've played very good in 50 over cricket, but we've not won an ICC tournament. And now coming, as BCCI President, who is also one of India's greatest captains, how do you look at it? You've got a World Cup next year in Australia, you've got a World Cup the following year in India, and both are T20 World Cups. If you see the Indian team playing T20 cricket, what are your thoughts? I mean, we've not won an ICC tournament, we've fallen in the semi-final hurdle, and that has happened multiple times.
Yes, 2015 World Cup, we lost in the semi-finals. The 2016 Champions Trophy, we lost in the finals to Pakistan. It is something which needs to be addressed, but at the same time, you know, we should not overdo it, because anybody sitting in this room, when they watch Virat Kohli and the team, they know at the back of their mind that this team can beat anybody. It's about getting that hurdle, that knockout hurdle. And it's more of a mental thing than ability. This team has enormous ability. A team which has Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Bumrah, you know, Pandya, and the other players, Rahane and Pujara. You can say that the talent is enormous in that side. And sometimes you need to just cross that mental barrier when you play those big games. And hopefully, under Ravi and Virat, they've addressed that because they've been around for a while now, 5 or 6 years as coach and captain. And you can only address that during a tour because they're good, they're fit, they're talented, they compete, they're probably the best fast bowling attack in the world at the moment, along with England maybe. And I don't see a reason they can't win big tournaments, although you don't win big tournaments all the time. India won the 2007 T20, 2011 World Cup, 2014 Champions Trophy, and hopefully they can turn it around. As I said, it's not an ability issue, it's just a mind issue which needs to be on the right side on that big day.
And because you were on Inspiration on India Today with me, and you said you have certain thoughts on the T20 game, because if you see the Indian team, test match cricket and 50 over cricket, we look sorted. But when it comes to T20 cricket, maybe we are still not there. I mean, your thoughts on the 2 World Cups coming up in the 2 years?
See, T20 cricket is about playing with freedom because it's just 20 overs and it's about hitting all the time because that's what that format demands. So I think there has to be a sense of playing that cricket without fear. When I became captain in the year 2000, that was one of the most important thing which I wanted to install in the team, that don't walk out onto a cricket ground thinking you're playing for your place. I don't think that helps anyone. It puts behind even the best players in the world, whatever ability you have, but if you play with the fear that if I don't perform I will lose my place, you'll never be a good team. And I think that sort of environment needs to be created in this squad, that go and play with freedom, because everybody will not perform every day, and the day you perform you win cricket matches. And you see that with Rohit, you see that with Virat Kohli, and when I see some of the talent in that side, young Rishabh Pant, I saw him very closely for Delhi last year when I was in charge of the team. Exceptionally.
Can I stop you there? Because you've been on record saying Rishabh Pant is one of the most talented. Coming to Rishabh Pant, yesterday the Indian captain has said, whenever Rishabh Pant makes a mistake, the crowd goes up, Dhoni, Dhoni. And it's unfair and disrespectful to a cricketer. As president of the board, talking about a cricketer who's 21 years old, can you tell me your thoughts when that happens and what that can do to the mentality of that guy and the amount of pressure we from the media, the public is putting on Rishabh Pant?
I think it's good for him because he will get used to it. And I personally feel pressure is something which you need to get used to at this level. When he played the IPL last year for Delhi, he was one of the main players in the team. So taking the responsibility was not a problem. He played among packed houses last year as well because IPL stands fill up very, very quickly. And if I was Virat Kohli, I would just let him free. Let him go through it. Let him hear it and find his own way to succeed. Everybody must remember that you don't get MS Dhoni's every day. He's a once in a generation cricketer, MS Dhoni. And MS Dhoni also when he started was not MS Dhoni. It took him 15 years to be MS Dhoni. And it will take Rishabh Pant also 15 years to be even close to what MS Dhoni has achieved. So from that point of view, it's his own mindset. He's a very matured young kid. You must always remember that second season for any player is the toughest. When you come on that international stage for the first year, and he set the world on fire with hundreds in Australia, with hundreds in England. Not many Indian wicket keepers have done that. Your second season, and as you rightly said, nobody. Second season is very important. So he will be under pressure, and just leave him alone. Let him go through it on his own. Don't address that issue too much so that it makes him conscious. Just let him address it, and I can tell you he's a serious player, and he will be one of the greats in the years to come.
You've mentioned MS Dhoni. I mean, the whole world is asking what's happening with MS Dhoni. After the World Cup, he's been on a sabbatical. He's served the army. He said, don't ask me questions about whether I'm back till January. Does the BCCI have a policy on MS Dhoni? Will you as president want to address it? Does he have an India future still if he makes himself available and sort of plays competitive cricket at a level where he can still get selected? What is the BCCI's thought on MS Dhoni?
I can't say this here though. So, yes, we have had discussions with MS Dhoni, and we will leave it at that because, somebody of that stature of MS Dhoni, any respect or any the BCCI cannot be thankful enough to what he has done for Indian cricket. So we will leave it at that. I have always said that it's on MS Dhoni at the moment. It's on MS Dhoni to decide what he wants to do, and we will address that as and when it comes. Certain things should remain in closed doors, especially when you deal with some outstanding cricketers like MS Dhoni, and you will have to leave it at that.
But have you spoken to him as PC since taking over?
Yes, we are in touch. We speak to Virat as well. We speak to the selectors, and that's where it lies at the moment.
Another thing that, when you took over, there was a lot of talk about relationship between you and Ravi, and you will do something, and vendetta, and etc., etc. Nothing happened, and the partnership between Virat and Ravi flourishes, the team is doing well. There was so much talk and speculation in the media. Your thoughts?
That's why it's speculation, isn't it? I don't have an answer to it, but it's pretty simple for everyone. It's about performance. You perform, you continue. You don't perform, somebody else will take over. It was the same thing when I played. I got first back-to-back test hundreds at my debut in England, my first 2 test matches. If I wouldn't have got those runs, I wouldn't have been picked again. It's a simple formula in this game. There will be speculations, there will be talks, there will be leaks, there will be rumors. Just concentrate on what happens in those 22 yards, because that decides where anybody goes. You talk about Virat Kohli, why? Because he's got 70 international hundreds. You talk about Sachin, why? Because probably the greatest of all time. You talk about McGrath, you talk about Dhoni, because what they've done on the field. So keep it simple. Whether you're a player, whether you're a president of the board, or whether you're the captain of the Indian cricket team, it's about performance. I believe life is about performance, and nothing can substitute that.
So, if you say as on date you have 10 months, what is the performance index that Sourav Ganguly wants to leave behind as legacy as BCCI president? I'm asking performance index that you've just mentioned. What will make you happy and successful?
I don't know. I can't answer that question at the moment, because it's a process. Running an organization, it's about process, it's about addressing issues, it's about solving issues. I think the most important thing is cricket. Cricket should be at its best, and to be honest, Indian cricket is at its best. Being the BCCI president is not the toughest job in the world, because the money gets taken care.
1 second. So dealing with 25,000 plus crores, it's actually 39,000 if you take the IPL and Indian cricket rights. Dealing with politicians of the level of the Home Minister and maybe even the Prime Minister, and there are multiple politicians influencing the BCCI. If we take a look at the list from the last 20 years, that's an easy job to deal with?
Yeah, I don't see it's a problem, because I don't think they interfere in the day-to-day running of the game. But politicians are everywhere. You look at the India Today Conclave, you look at the list of people you have. You call them politicians, and you still invite them to your conclave to speak about them. So they're everywhere. And I don't see it a problem. Sometimes it helps. You look at the stadium created in Mumbai. Fantastic. You look at the help I get in the Cricket Association of Bengal when I organize games, and with no interference, with no demands, and just allowing the game to flourish. So sometimes it's good, and to be honest, as I said, it's not difficult running the board of control for cricket in India. As you said, the revenues are 30,000 crores in 5 years. You just have to make sure that it's run clean, it's run with credibility, and cricket is the most important job on the BCCI.
I'll actually ask you on that, but when he said politicians, there's a very quick story. Just about 7 days back, we had the pink ball test, and Sachin Tendulkar was on a 9:20 flight back, and our program, which Sourav was doing on the ground, which I was hosting for him, that dragged on till about 9:50. And as with every passing minute, Sachin was like, "Dada, tune to phasa diya, main to ja nahi paunga, ye kya ho raha hai, ye kya ho raha hai?" And Sourav was like, "I'll give you a convoy, don't worry." He said, "Arey convoy, what convoy? Wo ud ke jayega kya? Rastas kya karoge tum?" Then next morning he calls, and I said, "So you missed your flight?" He said, "No." I said, "How come?" He said, "No, I figured out a way." The Prime Minister of Bangladesh was here, and for the Prime Minister, the roads had to be shut. So he went and requested the Prime Minister's security to make him a part of that convoy. And he also knew that before and after the Prime Minister's departure, no flights will take off for half an hour before and half an hour after. So he managed it, and he managed to get the flight to Mumbai. So the politicians do help. Okay, coming to you said it has to be run clean. If you look at social media, Sourav, last 3 days, Delhi cricket. Former cricketers, current cricketers, everybody talking about Delhi cricket. It's a shame. There are problems at selection, there are problems the way the Ranji Trophy team is getting selected. How do you address such issues where Indian cricket and cricketers and junior cricketers and lives are being put at stake?
You have your fingers ready? Just see how many players play from Delhi in the national team. Virat Kohli, Shekhar Dhawan, Rishabh Pant, Ishant Sharma. They are the 4 top class cricketers who are playing in this Delhi team, in the national team from Delhi. So I don't know what they do with the system, what happens within closed doors, who fights whom, because Delhi is a dangerous place, not just in terms of pollution, but from everything. You know, it's not an easy place to live. But the fact of the matter is, some of the greatest players in world cricket have come from Delhi. So I don't know what is right, what is wrong. I read things in DDCA. And as I said, in spite of all the issues, all the problems, the cricket on the field remains very, very intact. You had Gautam Gambhir from Delhi. So consistently they have produced top class players in spite of the system. Yes, at the same time, I agree with you that the elections have to be done and the organization have to be put to place. But you know, there's in everything in life, there's nothing called a perfect world. You have to keep adjusting, and as I said, it's not a concern for me, because at the end of the day, the state associations are independent. They have their own elections and create their own body to represent in the board, and we will leave it at that. But running cricket is not easy. Elections is not easy, because you have innumerable amount of people, and you really have to be a very strong personality to be in that position.
One more question before I open it up, Sourav, because I've got 5 more minutes. You know, if you see Indian cricket and the most successful periods in Indian cricket, it's been the BCCI president and the captain in sync. You and Mr. Dalmia, it's Mr. Srinivasan and MS Dhoni. So if I go down, there are many such examples. Your thoughts on Virat Kohli and the partnership between Sourav Ganguly and Virat Kohli?
You know, if you remember, I said that in the first day at the press conference, that he's the most important man in Indian cricket, Virat Kohli, because he actually takes the team out on the field. I know we as administrators, obviously I was captain for a long period of time, we as administrators stay behind the scenes. But to me, he is the most important man in Indian cricket. He's a fantastic role model. You know, the way he leads his life on the field and off the field is remarkable. And it's such a pleasure seeing him, the way he goes about his life. And I say it's not just about cricket. He will get all the support which he demands for the team to be successful. We are ready to give him anything he wants, whether it's Virat, whether it's Ravi, whether it's all the 15 players who play in that squad. All the comfort, all the, as I said, requirements to be a top class cricketer. But at the end of the day, we will demand performance. You know, Indian cricket has to be at its best, and I'm sure they are aware of it. It has to be honest, it has to be clean, and it has to be the best system possible. But as I said, we are here for the cricketers. Those 100,000 people who come to watch the game. Watch Virat Kohli get a test 100, a Rohit Sharma a test 100, a Rahane a test 100, or a Bumrah 5 wickets in a test match, and that will always be the top priority. This game is for cricketers, and it will continue to be for the cricketers.
You know, on that note, I'll open it up. I mean, he said it's for the cricketers and by the cricketers. Let's set it up before I open it up for the audience. The day Sourav Ganguly took over, and having covered this game for 25 years, a BCCI president wearing an India crest and an India blazer, standing in the hotel lobby with his laptop and his bag with him, and not 3 attendants carrying a laptop bag. Sorry, BCCI presidents did not even carry a laptop or open a laptop. So age, time, things have indeed changed, and ladies and gentlemen, changed for the better. So hopefully Sourav Ganguly will actually get a 3-year tenure. On that note, questions? Yes, the gentleman at the back, and then I'll take a couple more from the front. Sir, short, straight question, please.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Sourav. Just one line of acknowledgement that you as a Bengali, from Bengal, and as an Indian citizen, I'm sure 100% out here are proud of you, leading the best possible sports body. You being a sports person, as a lover also of sports in general, I'm sure you would like to take the legacy of Mr. Dalmia and quite a few in the world cricket, to spread cricket across many other countries. I'm sure whenever you go to the helm of ICC as well. Thank you.
I think, as you said very rightly, taking cricket to other countries depends on the ICC, the international board. But India do support a lot of cricket from the other parts of the world. Like Afghanistan, I don't know, their home is India. They play in Dehradun because of the situations in Afghanistan, and India cooperate and give them all the support to run their cricket. Actually, the Rashid Khans and the Nabis spend most of their time in Dehradun for the development of their game. We provide support to cricket in Thailand. We provide support to cricket in the Middle East, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah. All this Indian cricket supports a lot, and there is a huge push to take cricket to America. You know, America is one place where it is still, you know, undiscovered, that game, and the American Cricket Board is very keen to take this. So the avenues are on, and Indian Cricket Board will help every other country possible within their own limitations, because, as I said, the world cricket is run by the ICC. Indian cricket runs Indian cricket, but I'm sure at some stage there will be developments.
Rajdeep, can we have a microphone to Rajdeep, please?
No, Sourav, I'm not asking you about the West Bengal elections of 2021.
Now I will take you out for lunch.
No, I'm not.
So you've been a good boy today.
Yeah. Why is the cricket board not willing to come under the right to information? The Football Federation has, All India Football, but the cricket board seems to be resisting it. We need to have more opacity. We need to have more transparency, not opacity. We need to have more transparency, not opacity. And along with that is a suggestion. You did a fantastic job with this day-night test here. But why can't the cricket board and cricketers get out of this impression that it is driven by greed? Look at the way the Australians are doing it. They have a day, the Glenn McGrath or Jane McGrath Day, where the entire stadium donates, proceeds from that day go to the Jane McGrath Foundation for cancer survivors. There's a sense that Indian cricket doesn't give back enough to society. Cricketers, cricket board is greedy. You need to do something to get away from that. This is the popular impression as well. So will you be able to do a bit on that? Will you take a suggestion next time that the Calcutta test should have one day which is dedicated to a social cause or any test? And why don't you come under the RTI? I want to know more about how teams are selected, how the board functions.
As you rightly said, social causes are very important, and this is something we will take up. I can do it only in my tenure. If you looked at the pink test matches, yes, we did not dedicate to any foundation. But if you would closely watch the first 2 days of the test matches, we did a lot of stuff for the cancer patients on the ground. But as you rightly said, there's always more. We have, if you look at the memorandum of the Cricket Association, of the BCCI, we donate funds to a lot of other sport, which actually goes unnoticed, and hopefully someday I'll be able to give you the real amount of money which has gone to other sports in the last 4 or 5 years to develop. In terms of the RTI,
just come under the RTI. I will know where your money is going.
In any case, that is a part of the constitution. If you look at the BCCI websites and everything, every expenditure is put on the website. The balance sheets are put on the website. The accounts are done, because the current Supreme Court order demands all that to be absolutely transparent and make sure everything is available. In terms of RTI, and it will be good luck if an Indian team selection is brought openly on TV. People will have a great time. Rajdeep, your father was such a great player, and imagine the selection committee meetings are on television. So that will give you the biggest TRP ratings than anything can ever give in Indian sport. And in terms of information, I think there's too much information in Indian cricket. When you look at the last 2 or 3 pages of every newspaper, sometimes you realize that where does all this information come from? Because as being a part of the system, you're not aware of half of things which are being written about. So, as you said, privately I'll speak to you where we stand in terms of RTI, but in terms of social causes, I'm completely agreeable to you that it needs to be looked after. And when you talk about greed, it's not that. I think administration is very important for every cricket board. Look at the other boards. They struggle because they don't have enough finances, because the game is expensive to run 40 state associations in the country with all their infrastructure. And the best thing what Indian board has created is, if you look at all the stadiums in the country, they're personally owned by the state associations. And that's the biggest thing, to provide infrastructure to young boys and girls to play the sport, which is very, very important. Because without infrastructure, and I say that with due respect, you look at other sport, you look at football. A country which has 1 billion people doesn't have the infrastructure for football. And the ISL has come in, but we know how much we struggle to get things right in the ISL. And I think that's the best thing which Indian cricket has done over the last 20-25 years. And don't look at the numbers, don't look at the balance sheet, but look at what they have done to promote the sports in this country. When your father played, I wish he was there to see the transition, because he was a fantastic player of fast bowling in his days, going to the West Indies when West Indies had genuine fast bowlers. Very rarely nowadays you see in the West Indies 2 spinners operating from both ends, and during your father's regime, I don't think he ever saw a spinner in that West Indies side. So you have to give credit for all what has been created for the sport to flourish, because without infrastructure and without proper administration, it's not possible.
Sort of, my time is completely up.
One question. I have a question. Dada, you took a couple of pot shots at politicians, and I'm not asking you about whether you're going to be chief minister or not, so don't worry. My question is this. Rajat Sharma, who was running the DDCA, was very confident that he would be the next BCCI president. Then you went and had some meetings in Delhi, including with the BJP president, Mr. Amit Shah. And at the end of it, it emerged that you were the BCCI president. How did you outmaneuver Rajat Sharma? And what does this potentially suggest about your ability as a potential politician?
I know, Rahul, you're angry with me because for the last 2 weeks we've been trying to meet and we've not been able to meet. And the question is because of that. I don't know about Rajat Sharma, to be honest. And I must say that all what you say about Rajat Sharma, you should be extremely kind to him, because he was DDCA president for 1 year in that organization, which is not easy. I think experience was important. Knowledge about the game was important. Mr. Rajat Sharma, with all due respect, came from a television background, of a media background, and cricket is different. I've been president of the Cricket Association of Bengal for 5 years now. So from having said that, the experience on cricketing terms was a bit more than Rajat Sharma. And as you spoke about the closed door meeting with Mr. Amit Shah, I saw an interview of his with you a day after the BCCI elections. I watch your interviews because you're absolutely fantastic, and I've seen you closely for 9 years during my tenure with India Today. And he said that, and he said something very right, that nothing was spoken about politics. And to be honest, even when I met Mamta Didi 5 years ago when I became president, they said I'll join TMC. Now when I met Amit Shah, they'll say I'll join BJP. And someday I'll meet another party and they'll say I'll join that party also. So that's the way it is. And as I said, political influence in cricket has been for over the years. But not many has translated to politics also.
Okay, I'm completely out of time. Shweta, as you close the session, 1 30-second answer. We've not touched women. Is a women's IPL a reality in 2020? Because we've got to go gender neutral as far as cricket
is already. Last year there were 3-team IPL in the women's, but
a bigger full-fledged tournament.
See, you have to understand the practicality of it. You need a lot more women players. And I see that in 4 years' time, to get 7-team IPL with the best women players, you have to let the state association teams get stronger. And a lot of the teams are getting stronger. You've seen the push for women's cricket has been enormous last 3 years, and I see it as an obvious. But 3 years down the line, when you have 150 or 160 good women players to take the IPL forward, at the moment you have 50, you have 60, and with the push BCCI has for women cricket, that number is going to increase, and it's only a matter of time.
This has to be the last question.
Why don't we?
Yeah, actually, why don't you shut them down? Because they're all corrupt. All these state leagues. Why do you need such state leagues when you have an IPL?
We'll deal with it.
Please do it. We need it.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ganguly. Thank you, Boria. We know Bengal and Calcutta loves the conversation, the art of conversation. We saw it right here. Thank you.